How to start the world of enlightenment. It wasn't like I was set out to find enlightenment or that I have found enlightenment, but my journey took me to a world where beauty I saw in all. I saw the connections to everything, and I found peace within myself. Now, to start off with, by just doing it, just being enlightenment, I found that the journey opened up for me. I found a way to connect. I found a way to be ignited. I found a way to find my lessons and what it was that I was creating in life, my vibration, the source, through mediumship, through healing. To simplify enlightenment, for me, it was that of being in light. Now, people ignited me to be in light or to be connected. I connected others to be in light. And so what I mean by this is, I started out as the pupil. I then became the teacher through my experience. And then I became the pupil and teacher. And I think that's what enlightenment is. You get ignited, or you start to search for a journey of self-awareness, of an awakening, of seeing glimpses of another world, what I call the enlightenment world. You see the beauty in all. You see people's contributions. You see the way that people can create magic moments. And you want more of that. You want more to be enlightened. And you go on this journey like I did, reading things, listening to things, channeling, learning to connect within for answers where the wisdom was. And so then I started to understand a lot through my experiences. And it wasn't until there came a point in my life where I'd experienced so much after about 10 years of soul searching, asking questions of why my life was the way it was, why I attracted certain people, why I succeeded in some areas that I hadn't even thought about. And then in other areas where I did think about, I seemed to have blocks. So then I started researching into past life, and which I was never really interested in because, I didn't understand the ramifications of the traumas of past life. And then I looked into my childhood where good and bad, why I didn't feel good enough at times. Yet even when I was at my peak performance, when I was at my fittest, and I mean, I wasn't just talking fitness-wise, I was able to run 5 miles in the morning and 5 miles at night. I was able to understand that I could push my body to limits that was amazing. I went training, which we call pre-season training, with a friend. I used to cycle for 45 to an hour, train for 2 hours with him, and then cycle back. And then after a while, I realized my body could go into this state of a zone effect, where everything slowed down. It wasn't as though everything got faster. It just meant I was faster, but the actual world around me was slower. I went on a journey where I ended up working for 4 hours a day in a desert. And then after about 3 or 4 days, I saw beauty around that I couldn't see before. Because why? I was not looking through my eyes. I was looking through my heart. And then I suddenly started to realize that putting all these things together, I suddenly realized that every single aspect of my life had sent me in a direction or an understanding or what we call the enlightenment. Am I enlightened? I could not tell you. Am I able to tap into wisdom that has helped me on my journey? Yes. Am I able to connect to the universe? Yes. Am I able to connect to heaven? Yes. Does that make me enlightened? I don't know. I think the understanding of enlightenment is really, it's like 3 stages. You have the experience stage, the human experience stage, where you're trying to find your feet, you're trying to find out what's happening, you're trying to find out how connections, how things work and everything like that. And then you go to a next stage where instead of searching and wanting and needing, you go to a stage where you're being. So you're being happy. You're being the joy of happiness. You're understanding that in doing, you learn. And you're guided on how to learn. And so you just start to just do it. Not think about it. And then you'll start to understand that when you get to that stage, you move on to an automatic stage where everything falls into place without you even thinking about it or wanting or needing it anymore. It's suddenly, you know, if you've got an event, say, for example, this is one experience I had. I'd chosen a job that I needed money at the time, and I chose a job that I did love. I worked with adults with learning, but I only went into that job so that I could find time to build a spiritual center for myself and to work more into that. But I thought I needed to get some money in to be able to have the tools and knowledge in one thing and another. What happened was then it actually became a limitation for me because I couldn't actually book myself into going to events or anything because the job was month by month, in the sense that it never gave you what hours you were doing until sort of like halfway through a month. And so you were, but then I suddenly found that if I was meant to go to something, it taught me then if I was meant to go to an event that for the future, it would automatically happen. People would automatically swap shifts. And so the fear and worry of not going to these events was only my block. My attachment to things was what was blocking it. Then you get into the element of the mind versus the heart. Then I've worked out that the mind is frightened that the body's not going to work. So all the signals coming from your body about what you should eat and drink and this, that, and the other, your mind is being filled with all this information and all the blocks in your body and everything like that, and what you should experience and what you should do through the day, and this overthinking. And so I asked, what is this overthinking? What is it all about? And they says, because you're not at one with yourself, because you're not at peace, you've not delved into that inner source and that connection. Your body is then giving you what needs to be let go of, an opportunity. So now I saw my mind as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to let go of that which is not flowing or I've attached to. Once I started to understand that, I understood the other side to it, the automatic flow side. I started to understand that it was just as important to working from the head as working from the heart. When I was working from the heart, it brought me peace. When I was working from the heart, it was closer to what I call the source within us all. And so then the wisdom and the knowledge and the information and suddenly the bigger picture to everything and the freedom came from working through that. But the mind was just as important because it was giving me opportunity to let go of that was stopping me from flowing and connecting to the inner self. So then I started to realize that everything was part of the journey. And this is when I became to a point when I've done a lot of things and I was experiencing this world, they suddenly showed me that every single thing on the journey was part of the enlightenment world, part of being enlightenment. And so there was a lot of things that I'd cut out of my life that I'd actually stopped myself from flowing even more. And so we're all looking for this enlightenment world or this enlightenment to achieve this great understanding, but we're always evolving. We're always the pupil and the teacher. And so then when you understand that, you stop the search. When you stop the search, you then are surrendering and allowing the natural flow of enlightenment through you. And when you start to do this, you then start to see the connections, or you not get caught up in the illusions and the fears and the doubts that your mind is giving you all the time. It's just a sign that you've separated, that you're not at peace. Am I enlightened all the time? No. Am I connected all the time? No. There is times that connection helps me, and there's times that it doesn't. I still got to experience this wonderful world. But now that I understand this world, it's a lot easier to not get caught up in it, to not get caught up in the problems and the fears, to not be overthinking all the time. That's why I created a lot of meditations, because it helped me to get back to the moment where the clarity and the connection is. The past and the future is just as important, because it's part of the journey. And so for staying in the moment all the time, you can't do that. But getting back to the moment in clarity helps you to understand the rest of it. And that's why sometimes I just get back to the moment and don't try not to think of everything else, because the other parts of my world, it's what the brain is showing me. And if I'm too absorbed in that, then I'm missing out on the wisdom and the knowledge. It's just showing me that I'm not connected in my thoughts and my ideas. And so what I'm creating, what I'm vibrating, what I'm sharing with the world isn't always my connection. Then after years of trying to heal people and help people, and people started not asking for help anymore. And then suddenly I realized that the more I became enlightened or fixed, the more I didn't need to fix anybody else, or anybody else didn't want to listen. So sharing your experience is good for your soul searching, and you're helping yourself to move forward. So to help other people to experience it, so they can find their own path and own journey. But I found that the more I stayed in the energy that was enlightenment, or the more that I found at peace, and the more, then less I talked. So less than people needed to hear me. The more I ignited others to find their own journey, and I didn't have to do anything then. And then I understood that that's what enlightenment is. It's just the moment that you surrender and allow everything to take its due course. That you are part of everything. And so the bits you want to take out to enjoy and experience is part of the source. And then great joy comes from being in that connection, riding that wonderful wave, being in the zone where everything is just connected, looking and finding people that give so much joy to your life and want to share in your experience with you, and you're not judging you for what you want to give out and share. And so enlightenment is only the end product of your experience, but it's also the beginning product when you understand it. We came to this earth as this learning machine, this connected soul that probably couldn't talk. And the more of the children now are actually able to communicate telepathically. And so they don't start talking till later on, because they're still of the heaven, they're still of the connection. And so it's only when then we understand this that we can truly connect to our children and realize that they have so much information for us and so much for us to learn. And so they are the enlightenment. They have, because they just enjoy life, and when they're in the flow and enjoying life, you can see they find everything fascinating. They enjoy everything, and so they no longer have the fear and doubts and worries, because they're too busy enjoying. And so, how do you get started? Take time to find the silence within yourself. Take time through meditation. Take time to ask questions. Take time just to enjoy who you are in your experience and your part to play, and the wonderful things that you can create, and the wonderful things you can share with people and listen to people. because it's all about us all coming together. And then on a soul-to-soul level, we understand, we can tap into the enlightenment and the world where love is shared without thought or want or need. Love is unconditional. Support and love from the universe is unconditional and flowing through us all the time. So we don't need it from anybody else. But we experience it through being the enlightenment, being the energy. And so how do you start? You start by just doing it. And then you wheedle out what is for your brain and what is for your heart. Follow the path to the heart, and it's the closest to the source. And so then you're nourishing, you're feeding the passion, the excitement, the joy, the happiness. You then find pain and sorrow as just a moment to energize yourself, or to let go of that which is stopping you, which you've held on to, that's caused that. And then you embrace it as like somebody else that needs to be loved and supported, so that it can let go of the pain, so then you can join on your journey. I should be doing more on enlightenment because it's a key area I'd like to share with people. My 10-year journey has given me so much that I'd like to give you the tools and knowledge to be able to deal with any situation, good or bad. Good always comes out of everything. And so sometimes we just need to find out what we have decided to choose to do, what part we wanted to play that may be restricting our lives. But that's a choice that we've chosen before we come here.